Okay, hey everybody, this is Brett from Moonstream. I want to give you guys a quick update on the markets here and what's going on and dive into some news here, and we're going to dive into some other charts here as well, as you can see, with some interesting new information. The big news here today, of course, is that Powell spoke this morning out in Jackson Hole and signaled that they would lower rates coming in September, which the markets had largely priced in already. So the big news is that he's signaling further rate cuts based on the revised jobs reports, which came in revised as much lower. I think it was 818,000 jobs less than they thought and had previously reported. So the news is sort of we never really know what the real story is. So, but the news is driving the markets right now and is pushing the prices higher, although I do want to see how the markets close end of day. I think part of this had been priced in, but we could be seeing the big move we've been waiting for. Although I'm going to show you a scenario where I still think we pull back down and retest some recent lows, and I'll tell you why. We'll get to that in just a minute. So let's see. And if you like the content here, make sure to like and subscribe here. And thanks again for Max to let me come on and talk to you guys every now and then. So let's see. Diving into the news a little bit more too, we have a couple things here. We've got very different opinions on what's going to happen next. I have my own opinion, of course. So in this, this person says Bitcoin must clear resistance at 62K. I agree with that, and we were sort of toying with and touching 62K right now as the time of recording this. And I want to see how the day closes. It's Friday. Markets tend to sell off into the end of Friday, so I wouldn't get too bullish just yet. I'm currently in cash and kind of waiting for some clear direction. I'm waiting for another dip if we get one. But this person's saying that we need to clear that to avoid another Black Monday. I don't know why they would say that. That might be a little bit sensationalism. And this suggesting it could drop below 50,000. I don't think so. I think we have buy support just below here around 57K and 54K. So I agree with the first half of this, and we'll see what happens. The other headline here is suggesting, let me jump over this one, that this is the one I wanted to show you, that Bitcoin's primed for all new time highs if Bitcoin can break above resistance. And that's Michael Van de Poppe, fairly notable advisor, trader, and analyst. That's the word I was looking for. And suggesting that, if we break, this is that final hurdle, as he suggests, 62K. So yeah, 62K is a very important line in the sand. I do have a really interesting fractal to share with you that shows, that overlays almost perfectly where we are and shows that we just explode out of this level. So we'll have to keep that on the radar. So once again, news is all over the place. I'll show you my own charts here and what I think is coming. This is interesting also. Forbes saying institutions are coming 35 trillion in U.S. debt. We all know that that's waiting in the wings, paying $1 trillion in interest, which is not good. And a number of, I was watching a panel earlier today on, again, surprise, very different opinions on how this all plays out. Some saying we have a 3-month blow-off top and that's it, it's over. Another analyst saying we have 3-year bull market coming in. Now, he wasn't specifically saying crypto, but we'll see. So this suggesting that the collapse is predicted to create a Bitcoin price boom, however, to rival gold if the dollar collapses, and suggesting that the Bitcoin price has dropped back from its all-time high, as we know, and we've been watching that for weeks. When the 5th attempt to break to a new all-time high failed, I knew we were in for some more corrective surgery on the charts. And this person also saying that mentioning that, fear over the U.S. spiraling $35 trillion debt. Guys, we have a deficit too. We have all these entitlements. It's going to get worse in terms of money printing and debt we are going to have to create. One way out, as has been proposed, as my alerts are going off all over. Let's see. Yeah, perfect. Okay, the IBIT. I'm getting to the IBIT here in a moment. That's gonna give us a clue, I believe, on where the prices go. So Elon Musk warning of the U.S. dollar destruction that could bankrupt the country rather, and Trump making similar statements in Nashville for the Bitcoin conference on possibly buying Bitcoin to combat that, and if holding enough of it, if it does go up in price, maybe that would help in 5-10 years to erase some of that debt. Here's that's highlighted in green. After former President Donald Trump floated a radical plan to wipe out U.S. debt, the U.S. dollar has hit its lowest level since the start of the year. I'm also going to show you that, where I think that that can go, sparking fears of further collapse and potentially feeding a Bitcoin price boom. Very interesting. I might refer over to our top 10 factors leading that could lead us to $150,000 to $250,000 Bitcoin, and a collapsing dollar and kind of in conjunction with the BRICS nations, less demand, more supply of the dollar, a lower value, lower prices. So with that, why don't we hop over to that and just touch on that. I'll pull up the DXY here, and then we see this this alert that went on the IBIT, so I'll get to this. Basically, DXY has been in a free fall. Interestingly, Bitcoin hadn't been going up as the DXY dropped, but now we're going below this critical level here, right about 100.88, just below 101 on the DXY. So I had previously had that as Bitcoin rally zone. You know, it still is, but I think a deeper level that we want to see is below 100. We'll see much stronger rallies going into that region. And then I have, if I zoom out longer, we have Bitcoin super rally zone. If I zoom out here, the Bitcoin 2-year cycle low is right around 95, which was back here in Jan of 2022, and that was rising up out of the low levels around 90 back in 2021 when the bull market was starting to kick off in earnest. So again, Bitcoin super rally zone, Bitcoin rally zone, we're going to keep an eye on these. You know, it's certainly possible that now these timelines have shifted out a bit. I may have to redraw these, and where it lands will be the new 2-year cycle low, but that is contributing to the upward momentum and demand and interest in risk-on assets like Bitcoin. So let's jump over to the IBIT. This is really interesting, and I've mentioned it before. Nobody else is talking about this. I discovered this, as far as I can tell, that the IBIT, which is a Wall Street product, IBIT, of course, being the BlackRock ETF, and launched earlier this year. So I've been following it since the inception here. It first launched and broke out of this, sort of jump all over here, broke out of this nice cup and handle pattern right here. And that's when I was suggesting, you know, we're very bullish. And sure enough, we pushed higher, consolidated, pushed higher. Now, these circles are what I want to call your attention to. These are gaps in the price, and the reason for that, just like the stocks and the CME, these are caused by trade imbalances after hours, so after 4 p.m. Eastern or over the weekends, or both, obviously, and these tend to fill, however, and there's many reasons for that, some speculative, and in the end it doesn't really matter. I have my opinions, but essentially each one of these gaps, the CME gaps normally will fill. I've noticed that each one of the big, or the IBIT, every one of the IBIT gaps has filled, including, except for one, I'm going to show you that one, including this big gap here that I had marked in red, and we were pushing higher. We thought, that's it, we're going to the new all-time highs, but sure enough, we had that big sell-off, closed this gap, creating a new one on that big Black Monday we had last couple weeks ago, which I was prepared for, by the way, and had buy limit orders down here, which filled and made profits. But anyway, these gaps have filled. The only gap that has not filled here, if you can see it, this right here in green, right in there, which is lower. It's about 10 or 15% lower than current prices. And I had proposed we'd zigzag a bit and then come down, because these act as a magnet to price. I do follow the IBIT 1 hour, 4 hour just as a leading indicator of where Bitcoin prices can go. Now we are breaking above this 35 level. The key is, where does it land? Do we close at the end of the day with this? In which case that's bullish. I think that would mean we could push up higher. But at some point, I think this is going to fill. It partially filled down in here, so it's kind of a small one. They don't have to fill, but this would be the first out of maybe, I'd say, 100 of these that that hadn't, unless I'm missing something. But I've gone through this pretty carefully, and each one of these gaps had filled. This one didn't fill here, but it did come back and fill it back later, months later. So, you know, we're not out of the woods. I have a big question mark here. We'll see what happens over the weekend. I do believe this could have been the market cycle low from a timing standpoint. And just to jump over to a new study that I've been working on here. So there's a lot here. Let me open this up and I'll share this with you guys. And I have some of these in more detail over on TradingView. But there's a lot going on here. Basically what this is, it's a liquidity cycle. And we do a lot of, we've just recently done a project with Juan Villaverde, who's a favorite of the channel, of course. Juan is very smart when it comes to cycles and has a great course that we co-released on cycles. And his work is based on Hearst, who's the pioneer pioneer of all that. So, 40-day, 80-day, 120, 180-day cycles. So, anyway, what I'm suggesting here is, let me go through a couple things. So this parabola here going up and down is the liquidity cycle, and it tends to go in 46-week intervals, which is around 1,400 days. So 46 bars peak to peak. This one here in 2015, peak to peak to 2018, peak to peak to 2022, and then now we're forecasting out ahead, where I'll get to that in a moment. On the opposite side, down at the bottom of these peaks are when liquidity is pulled back and liquidity starts coming back into the market for the first time. Real quick, before we dive into that, though, all of these colors here are the different central banks, so you're on the same page here what this means. Let me do that again. I'll just pull up the settings, and you guys can see the legend here. So basically, all the way at the bottom, it's inversely layered in here. So all the other countries in green, we have the Bank of England here in purple. This is their central bank liquidity. And then we have the Bank of Japan right in here. Let's see, did I miss one? No, Bank of England right here. We have the People's Bank of China. Is it People's Republic of China, whatever that is. China in red, as you might imagine, Bank of Japan in orange here, and then the blue is the European Banks Central Union, and then yellow appears the U.S. liquidity. So they follow pretty much the same cycles, as you can see. And so with that in mind, the low points of liquidity and when liquidity starts to turn higher is correlative with these green circles. And as we can see, when that happens, when that starts to turn, we start to see the markets break new all-time high. You see that all-time high right here, where it had come up and was holding the previous all-time high, and then liquidity starts to come in and it breaks new all-time high, pushes up to the next all-time high, and then we don't get another breakout there until this next liquidity cycle starts to turn again right at that all-time high. Do you see this? So, and once again on this cycle as well, coming over in here, new all-time high breaks again at the bottom when the liquidity cycle, which again is for every 46 weeks, and starts to turn higher. So where are we right now? And these are noting this. Liquidity pulls back, and then we get all-time high breakout as liquidity starts coming back in, perfectly timed with Powell's remarks. We're going to start seeing rate cuts, and I think many believe, and I believe we'll see a lot of liquidity coming back in the market. So this is a monthly chart of Bitcoin. What that means is at any point here in this month, or maybe September-ish, October, we start to really break out. I think certainly by October we can, and if not sooner, run up to new all-time highs, and that seems to be right around the corner. So these purple boxes are again showing 46. This 40. Let me redraw this. It got missed. It's 46 bars from the trough to the next one. So similarly to up here, 46 bars, 46 weeks from bottom to bottom to bottom. What this suggests is that also the next market cycle high should be around July of 2026. Interesting. This time may be different, but we say that every cycle. This time is different. We don't need to project that far into the future. But we certainly can, and that also suggests the next bottom of the market, well, the next time we're about to break a new all-time high should be June of 2028. So there you go, you guys have a roadmap on pretty interesting study that I'm continuing to tweak here. So if you like that, leave a comment down below, and make sure to like the videos here. We're going to continue to do more of these as things ramp up. All right, let's dive over into the Bitcoin chart here. I'm going to open this up full screen so you guys can see this. You guys have seen this before. We've been following this closely in our other M3 classes, and so typically breakouts happen the third or fifth attempt. So when this failed, I had a pretty high feeling that the fourth attempt would also fail, and when the fifth started rolling over, I had drawn this black line all the way back here and forecasted we would reject a fifth time, and this black line I haven't moved really. I've just it's following exactly, and so and then I layered in the red version, which means project we could come back down lower. Again, that would be correlating to the IBIT, feeling the IBIT gap coming down 10 or 15% from current prices. So I have a question mark here. I would love to see prices come back down in this region, fill that gap on the IBIT. This is my ideal buy zone for Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, etc. Don't know if we're going to get it. I'm watching this closely, but we didn't break above. We're currently right around 63,000, but we will need to see how the day closes. And if we sell off toward the end of the day, this red line could still be in play. That is what I'm watching for, and it wouldn't be the first time we've had this kind of a move reject and go lower one more time. So it's too much uncertainty for me. I'm waiting on the sidelines, and we've got plenty of time to see where this thing plays out. So hopefully that's of interest here. Let me jump over and let's dive in and look at Solana actually real quick. Solana, interesting too. It's riding. It is putting up higher lows, so I had this question mark on there and put out a video yesterday to our members into YouTube, sort of wondering, do we push up from here, or do we go back in the buy zone? I have my buy limit orders right down in here, just like I did a week ago, and I've turned 50 sol into 90 sol since May in my IRA, just playing and trading these swings in this range. I love range swing trading. And so if this continues to go higher, I'm going to buy some sol. I'll run it up here. Will sell into this sell block in the 195 region, 200 region. And I think it needs to build some more support before breaking that. Similarly, with Ethereum, let me just scroll down and find Ethereum. Then we'll look at the total market cap real quick. But so this I was drawing with a private client here the other day, and by the way, I do work with some people one-on-one. If you would like more information, you can go over and to our website at moonstream.io, and there's some free information, a lot of free tools there. Moonstream.io down at the bottom. We do live classes here and newsletter, but you can also click on this for this button to work with me one-on-one if you're so inclined, and if you would like help maximizing your portfolio, I can work with you on that and optimizing your portfolio for the bull run. And typically these are clients with a little bit more in the market, but anyway, that is an option. I've got room for 2 more people at this time, and before we get super busy, back to ETH here. Let's see. So what I think is going to happen with ETH is, so there's a number of scenarios. We have sell block right here in ETH at 2750. So I would imagine ETH does roll over here unless it can clear that sell block, but I do think it comes back down into these DCA levels. This is dollar cost average. These green boxes are some of our proprietary indicators and order blocks, so this is where there's a lot of orders. And so as we go down, I'll be dollar cost averaging, building a position, and all the way through this box. If we do drop down here farther, I would love to be buying ETH at 2,000 all day long. If we get down, and I would suggest setting your alerts, and I have alerts for myself, ETH crossing down 2130 by the dip. All of this to own ETH down in this range, because ultimately I do believe we have a new upward trending trade channel, an upward parallel channel. Whether it's down here, wherever it starts to draw, we'll be trading that range. And take profit zones, TP1 is around 3,600 ETH, TP2 is right around 4,800 ETH, getting ahead of that psychological 5K level. I would be taking profits at both of these areas. And, you know, the parabolic move likely happens later after we get above those levels. And so the altcoins are similarly showing some strength, but I'm just kind of sitting on the sidelines until I want to see what happens with the bigger players. And we're certainly following many of these in some of our other private groups there, but you know, many of these are hitting resistance, like Phantom Coin. Love the project. I drew this yesterday. I do think it sells off from here. I'd love to buy Phantom down around 35 cents on these pullbacks. So exciting times, you guys. A lot of things kind of moving, starting to show signs of life, but we're not out of the woods yet, and we have some headwinds still in front of us. And so again, if you like all the information, please like this, comment down below, and if you would like some help working with me one-on-one, you can find me over at moonstream.io, and I would love to help you out. But otherwise, I look forward to sharing more ideas with you guys here. Cheers, everyone. Enjoy your weekend, and let's hope that we've got some nice big bullish moves here coming soon. All right, take care.